Mel.
You're very welcome, Carol. It's lovely.
This is the scariest part of the day.
It's not that bad. I'm not that scary. So I want to touch on you talking about the 2 a.m. moment that you had, that kind of realization that life is finite. As we all know, that can be quite a life-changing experience for a lot of us. What was it that it changed for you? What did it change in what you were willing to prioritize, what you were willing to tolerate? How did you put that into practice going forward?
I think it just made me realise the fact that there was things that I wanted to do. There were ideas that I had that I always kept putting off.
Yeah.
There were other priorities. And yeah, it was just the realisation that life is short. Do I want to carry on like this? You know, like at what point am I actually going to start making the changes that I talk about and say I wanted? So it's just a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wake-up call for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that sometimes we just put things off and we just wait and wait and wait and think, yeah, we can do that tomorrow, we can do that tomorrow. But the fact is that, yeah, we should do it today.
Yeah, tomorrow's not definite.
Yeah.
So what now, looking back on that moment, like what choices do you make now still connected to that moment? How do you keep connected to that feeling?
I think one of the things that I do is I hold on to the vision that I have for my life and the impact that I want to make.
Yeah.
I get so passionate about it. Sometimes I lose it, you know, because you know me, Mel, and I have a tendency to put all my clients first. So I can still get stuck down that rabbit hole. And I have to keep thinking back to what it is that I really want to do. And like staying true to actually what it is that I'm really good at. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I use it as a northern star. I kind of like see it as a bit of a magnet. And yeah, sometimes I do get...
Wander off the path.
Yeah, I wander off the path, but yeah.
So you just said that, you know, you do tend to put your clients first a lot, which we know. I know you do. How, again, do you pull yourself back from that? Does it take somebody else to say to you, no, you know, you need to just step back a bit, or have you got that?
No, it has to be me, because the thing is, you know, lots of people have been saying to me for a long time, you know, like you're giving too much to clients, but it has to be the realisation to me. Yeah. And I guess it's the fact that they'll generally be the straw that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. And it'll probably be something where perhaps a client has just asked for that extra thing that has been that breaking point, and it's made me realise, hold on a sec, actually, all my energy is going into making you extremely wealthy and me extremely tired and unfulfilled. So yeah, sometimes I think it always has to come from me. Other people can tell you what you need to do, but until you own that yourself, you're never really going to take the action.
Yeah, you have to want to sort of help yourself in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. One of the other things you talked about in your speech was the losing your planning permissions.
Yeah.
Huge thing, I think, that would knock a lot of us. How did you then sort of rebuild from that, from a place of strength rather than a place of just, I've got to keep going? How did it become a place of strength for you? And do you think maybe there was signs, looking back now, were there signs that it, you know, maybe it wasn't aligned, maybe it actually wasn't what you wanted to be doing?
No, it was absolutely what I wanted to be doing. And the way I got through it in terms of strength was to be able to turn those thoughts of failure. I'd never, ever failed at anything I'd done until that point. I worked so hard. I worked twice as hard as anybody else. I pushed to prove myself, and I did. And so when that failure happened, and it wasn't really a failure, I just lost planning permission.
Yeah.
But it felt like such a failure to me. I just collapsed. And it was only by the time I could actually learn the lessons that I actually got the strength from it.
Okay.
And I know the mistakes I made. I shared ideas with somebody else. My planning permission was brought forward. They put in planning permission for the same thing. They got it. I didn't. And so I learned so many lessons that, you know, not to share all your ideas and think that everybody can be as trusted as you can.
Yeah. It's interesting that I think we all learn those lessons along the way. But it hasn't stopped you from dealing with people the way you do. Like something like that, you would think maybe you would be a lot more guarded, a lot more. But you're still very open with people. You're still very
too much so. Yes, I learn my lesson daily on that, and it's like my mom has always said to me, Carol, she says, you have such amazing ideas. Stop giving them to everybody else. And it's like, and yeah, so that is a lesson to me. And I think the important thing about that is the fact that you can still love people, you can still trust people, you can still treat people really, really well, but act like a CEO. You know, get your documents in order, make sure you're protected.
Yeah.
Do that first, and then it's a bit like the river analogy, isn't it? That if you've got the structure, you can then flow. If you've got the documents that protect you, you can, so it is a lesson that I keep learning. But yeah, I like to be nice.
You are very nice. So you spoke about your mum just briefly then as well, and I know you spoke earlier, you shared quite powerful stories about the women in your family and the beliefs that they sort of carried with them. How do you honour those beliefs without being restricted by sort of where you came from in that regard? How do you stop falling back into old habits and stuff?
Well, it's really difficult because clearly you can see from my story, the conditioning is really, really deep, and that's just a tiny part. That's just one side of one part of my family. If I tell you the other parts, they're all very similar. And yeah, I grew up with a mom who had various mantras, not just I was born, I wish I'd been born a man, but money doesn't grow on trees and all those kind of things. But I absolutely believe that we have to stop blaming our conditioning on why we are not succeeding and making progress ourselves now. We have to do that, and that's a decision, that's a choice, and that's what I try and hold on to, is that I want to honour all of those women who went before me to say, look, I have changed the way forward for the rest of my family, the rest of generations to come. Your suffering wasn't for nothing.
That's awesome. I love that. That's really good. I was going to model that with the sort of the next question was, modelling that for the next generation. But if you can sort of say, we've done this.
It's so important to me. Like, yeah, conditioning changes, our genes, it does, trauma does. But yeah, we can change. And it's so important to me that women, guys, whoever, don't get held back by these beliefs. I don't think that we should see ourselves as any better than anybody else. I don't think that as women, I hate the boss babe culture. Like I don't want to pretend to be a man. I don't feel the need to like take over and think, yeah, I'm better. It's like, no, I'm equal. I'm just as deserving as that person, as that man. And I think to me that would be the ultimate aim, is that for more women to realise that they don't need permission, they've got it, and they can just achieve just as much as any man.
Yeah, then that's quite a big thing in your Ufinity Framework, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a very big part of that.
Like a lot of people ask me why I've decided to work with women. I think a few of you had asked me that, didn't you? Like, why are you working just with women? And it's a challenge, like a lot of women in this country don't want to invest in themselves. And, I see a lot of people that are building like networks of comfort where we all protect each other on a certain level, and we give each other reasons why we're not doing what we really want to do. And instead, we should be stretching ourselves into creating like communities of growth.
Yeah.
So yeah, but helping women to be able to build businesses in the right way. I think there's so much fluff and so much hype out in social media. It actually does my head in. But if we can just show how you can build the right foundations and structures that protect you, but also give you that foundation for growth, where then we can just ooze our femininity, our fabulosity. We can just be women. That is the perfect place to be. But the trouble is, at the moment, there isn't enough role models, because a lot of women who have created great success in big corporates have adopted the old model, the masculine way of managing and leading. And I just think if we can get the message out of what it takes, women are just in such a great position to have such an amazing impact.
Yeah, 100%. You've mentioned just then fabulosity. Now,
I love fabulosity.
I love that word. I absolutely do.
Yeah.
But I want to ask, like, in everyday, in general practice, how do you show that?
How do I show it?
Yeah.
I just feel it. I seriously do. Like when I talk earlier about being connected to our bodies and to our souls, that is a daily practice for me. Maybe not daily, but on the whole it is. I have little routines I do. Like, no, I'm not going to show you them, but yeah, I like move my hips and, you know, like just make sure I get into my body. And I pamper myself. I love myself. When I'm putting on body lotion, I don't slap it on. I'm like, oh, I love it. You know, I love the feeling of it against my skin. And, you know, yeah, I don't always look after myself because I don't have time. Like Sarah said earlier, you know, I've stopped going to the gym because I got so busy. I've piled on weight. I hate how I feel. But this feminine energy to me makes me feel so good. It just makes me feel so good. And I love it for every woman to like have a sense of what that feels like, because I think it's so easy that when we become moms and when we become business owners or we get jobs, everybody else gets put in front of us, and it's very easy to lose that identity.
Yeah.
But it is just so delicious when we can step back into that.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've sort of had discussions about identity before and stuff. Do you feel that your identity, what's the word, sort of changes still? You know, are you still changing with that?
Yeah, look, we all change, right? And when I talk about stepping into your future self, so many people think that they don't change, or I'm not going to change, I'm just going to be me. But we all do. You only look back yourself just over the years, how much you've changed from where you were to where you are now. And if you don't do it intentionally, it's going to happen by circumstance. So to me, I want to think about, who is it that I want to be? What impact do I want to create? How do I want to feel? Like Sarah said, I want to feel joyful. You know, that is one of the most important things to me. I want to feel happy. And so, yeah, checking in and making sure I am is really important. But yeah, I'm always changing, you know. And that's not just my menopausal moods.
It's one of the things I think you do talk about a lot, is the balances, the, you know, flow and structure, and the feminine and masculine and stuff. Have you ever had that time where you think you've been, you know, far too in one? You know,
oh, most definitely, yeah. So all my corporate life, like, I seriously created so much success when I was in corporate. It was untrue, you know, the things I got to do, the things I achieved. But all the time, it's come from that masculine energy, pushing to prove myself, working twice as hard as anybody else. And I was really very, very results orientated. But I suppose I also always tried to be me. So like in my last corporate job, you know, I remember my boss saying to me, you know, Carol, you've got to develop a greater gravitas. And I remember thinking, I'm making you tens of millions of pounds profit and you want me to change? And, you know, I always said to people, like, I had an open door policy, but, you know, you mess me around and you'll know about it. So whilst I was still leading with that masculine energy then, in terms of proving myself and working twice as hard, I think that was for me, not for anybody else. I still had that element of like fun and let's all be friends. But, you know, the trouble is quite often people do take advantage of that. So you learn your lesson. And then I think I also swung the opposite way. So when I started my consultancy and coaching business, which came about by accident because people asked me to help them when I was working on the project in Ireland, I joined some little local networking groups, and I went completely the opposite way then. And I went into like much smaller minded thinking, and, you know, I kind of like forgot about strategy and all that. And then one day I just woke up and I thought, I really hate doing this. It's so unfulfilling to me. I was playing so small, and the conversations I was having were just not stimulating me at all. You know, I'd go to meetings, and the conversations were just like, I've not given up a day of my life to come and talk about the dishwasher breaking down, or, you know, like crazy stuff. But anyway, so I have swung the opposite way, and I think now that's why I understand that this is the right balance, and there's not many people talking about this, the need for structure and the need for femininity. There's either people who are all about femininity and flow, and it doesn't matter if you don't feel very well, you can just lie in bed, and there's other people who are just all about the structure and the strategy, and it's somewhere in the middle is the right place.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you. It's been great. So what I'm going to ask you now, because you've asked everybody, you've asked most everybody else, 3 tips. If you could say 3 things to the women in this room and to people listening, what would those 3 things be?
The first thing is find your vision, right? Really get in alignment with who you really are, and set a vision for your future. What do you want your life to be? What do you want it to look like? Start there, and then decide, what does your business need to be in order to give you that life, so that your business works for your life and you don't give your life for your business. And use it as your Northern Star. So every time something comes along, and look, this world is very distracting, isn't it? You know, like, especially if you're scrolling through social media, you can go off on a tangent all over the place. But I use my vision as my Northern Star, and I ask myself every time something comes up, is this going to take me closer to that point? Is it going to keep me where I am? If it keeps me where I am in actual time, that means I'm going backwards because the pace of change is so fast. Or is it going to take me off into some completely different direction that's just going to delay me getting where I want to be? And that's 2 points really, wasn't it? And yeah, I think intentionally step into your future self. Realize, like, if you want to create a certain business, who is that person got to be in order to run that business, and make all of your decisions from that perspective, from that point of view. So for instance, if you make your decisions from where you are today, you'll make tiny decisions. You know, when it comes to like delegating and thinking, can I bring in an admin person? You go, oh no, you know, it's going to cost me X amount of money per month. If you're this woman who's making this multi-million-pound business, and you look back at that yourself in this position, you say, hire the person and her friend, you know, because you can see where you're going. You can see where you're going. So make all of your planning, all of your decisions from that future position, and you will get there faster.
I love that. I love that vision. So thank you, Caroline. And yeah, I think that's a great place to end.
Thank you so much.